that you see are the ones that are linked to the MySircles with that child. The only chats that you see are the ones that are linked to that child. Does that make sense? So if you've got, if I've got a child in year 3 and a child in year 6, and I only want to see what's relevant for the child in year 3, then the only way to do that through the navigation is by clicking on the child.
Okay. Click on the child
That,
and so I'll just click on the child and all the year 3 will pop out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you see on the screen then is everything that's linked to that child. So as you go, so it's a question for you really. So I mean, the way the original thinking was that you would go into the actual screen. So you would go into the navigation, click on chats, and for chats you would see what's relevant for that child, or you would click on contacts and you would see the contacts that are relevant for that child. You click on MySircles, you see the MySircles that are relevant for that child. And I don't know what best practice is, what is the right thing to do. Definitely for MySircles, it makes sense that you should be able to filter the MySircles by children. You should be able to just go in there and say, I just want to see, for this child, Maya, just click on that and you can just see what's relevant for her. The reality of it is that in the end, even if you've got, 3 children with 3 different classes and they might be involved in 2 different activity groups, it's still not a lot of information to go through on your screen. Do you see what I mean? So, am I just overcomplicating it? Because actually in the end, you would only really have, 3 classes plus maybe, 1 activity. There's only going to be 6 MySircles in your app anyway. So then the question becomes that where does it become more complicated? And so the most obvious one is the chats and the contacts. So if you click on contacts, every single parent that is in your MySircle automatically ends up in your contact list, so in your address book. So it would probably make sense to be able to filter by child in the address book. That would make sense because there's so many parents in there that actually, if I only want to see the parents in year 3, then I just click on that and I can quickly see who the parents are.
Okay.
The flip side to that, the other side, and the reason I'm trying to brainstorm this with you, because from a development point of view, I guess what I'm looking for is the thing that's going to make it easiest to deliver what we need to deliver by at the same time delivering the right customer experience. The flip side to that would be actually to see who the parents are, is that you go into the MySircle. So if I want to see all the parents in year 3, then I have to navigate that through the MySircle screen. Do you see what I mean? So I'm trying to understand, does it make sense to break it down for each of the navigations where we have child 1, child 2, all children, or does it make sense to be able to do that through the MySircles area?
Yeah, definitely, Babita. It's possible. But let me just refresh my mind, okay? So what we're gonna do is, for example, there is a parent and there are children. For example, year 3, year 4, and year 5. Okay. So when I click on year 4, I would be able to see the child or the child information. Correct?
You wouldn't click on, you mean when you click on your year 4 child?
Yes, correct. So if I click on that, I will be able to see the information of that child. Is that correct?
If you click on, so in which screen? Where are you in the app? On what screen?
Isn't it that we have parents profile on the screen? On the parents profile.
If you go into settings and if you go into parent profile, my profile.
Parent profile.
Yeah. So if you go into my profile, so at the moment on mine, it's got a picture of me. It says Babita Devi, and it says Maya's mom, and then underneath that it says children, and so it's got my daughter. It says Maya, the name of her school, and the year that she's in. If I click on that, then it just shows me all the different. What I might do, I think, what I might do is I'll go through the current version of the app and I'll screenshot every single page and I'll send it to you so you can see
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
talking about because
yeah. That's great. That's great. I think that would surely help, especially that we would be adding functions to it, and we are going to redesign the app. So the more that we have something to see, I have something to check, or
mm,
I'm more on the visual side. So
yeah.
if I
Well,
see, I
actually,
would
so
appreciate.
that's my next question. Okay, let me do that and I'll send that to you, and then you can see um, how it's all working. And it might even be. Oh, I probably don't need to create because I was going to say I could create it in Pop, and you can download Pop and you can see what you click on and where it ends up. But I think that's all straightforward, and you'll understand really quickly just by looking at the screen designs. So my next question then is: I know that you've copied the design that Kevin did, but the design was really average
Yep.
because he's not a designer, he's not a creative person.
uh,
So the way it looks, and I've sent to you the color palette this morning. I sent you a
yep.
PDF of what the color. So at the moment, I think everything that's been designed is using the light green. It would be much nicer to make it more crisper and move to the dark green. And even if you need to, is to use elements of the orange that's in there as well. So I think the design side does need to be improved on what it is at the moment. So don't be afraid to change the way that it looks if it's going to be a better, if it's going to look better. One of the big problems I had with the design that Kevin created was, things always looked bigger than they should be, and the settings icon at them, for example, in the top right hand corner, it sits kind of too far into the center of the screen. It should be really nice, really tidy in the top
Okay.
right hand corner. So, and also the navigation at the bottom, when you're on that page, it would be great if the icon turned into a solid color, because at the moment they're just lines. So
Mm-hmm.
so anything on the design side that you think, what, it would be nice if we could, if we can improve it so it just looks nicer than it is. And also, if you want any designs creating, then Nathan can do that. So if, for example, you said, we can have a solid MySircles button at the bottom when the person is on the MySircles page, and we need a solid version of what that would look like, then you can just ask Nathan to do that for you. If that's difficult for you to do,
Yeah,
just get him to do it.
it's something
So,
that Hilarion can do. Right now, Hilarion is doing more of the Meteor side. I'm doing the Android and iOS at the same time. Hilarion is also helping with that. But for the design, I believe it's better if the two, if Hilarion or I will be the ones to do it. Especially
yeah,
that we know the functionality that we're gonna do. Uh,
yeah.
I'm just afraid that, for example, Nathan will place a different icon there. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just take care of it.
Oh, but he's not a developer. He's just a designer.
Oh
So
yeah,
say for
that's the thing.
example, you were working the um, on the chat page and you needed help with font size and font styles, and where what the buttons should look like for if you
Oh,
wanted to
okay,
change things around. Then he can do a design, but he's not a developer, so he would just provide it to you in the right format,
great.
and then that might
Yeah,
help you to then go on and design it easier.
yep. That will surely help because the most important thing is
He's
he
he's a
has the
he's a
current
brilliant
version.
designer. So if you but yeah,
Does he has the current version of
so
the
so
app?
yeah. Does he have what? Sorry.
The current version of the app?
Yes.
Okay, great, great.
So you can add him so he can see your test flight. Um, so if you invite him into the test flight, because one thing that he's really good at is that he'll come back to you with recommendations on the visual side of it. So if you need a design creating so that you've got a reference point when you're coding, then he can help with that. If you need anything creating and you've got a specific format that you want it creating in, he can do that for you and send it to you. And if you want him to just go in and just use certain elements of the app and give you feedback, then he's really good at that as well. So he's there and available to give you any support that you need from a design and creative point of view.
Okay, great. That's fine. I'll definitely utilize him with a design. I thought he's gonna be the one to decide on, just let. I thought he's gonna be the decision maker of my design or our designs, but as you mentioned, he's definitely gonna be the one to do the design himself, not just critic the work that we do.
Yeah, so a lot of, I can't remember if I shared with you some of the earlier work around the concepts of MySircles, but he created all of those designs. So, because we had like we came up with this idea where rather than the parents just being a list, is that it becomes you kind of scroll through and it becomes a wheel, all that sort of stuff. He's very, very creative. You just need to be really clear about what you need him to do, and then he'll come back with a creative solution for that.
Okay, nice. We'll surely do.
So, okay. So, in terms of, I'm going to send to you all of the actual screenshots, and I'll do that as soon as we finish this call. But one of the things I want to go back to the big picture. So, what you've done is you've created what Kevin created. With obviously some improvements and so forth. Ultimately, the finished product in the end is going to be, and I'm going to cover this, Hilaria, because I don't think you and I have perhaps spoken about this, but Mark and I have.
Yep.
Ultimately, a parent anywhere in the UK should be able to download the app, and when they download it, it says, so there'll be a process that they go through. I'm going to talk you through this because as you're developing things, you just need to be aware of what it's actually supposed to do. So when a parent downloads the app, it'll say, welcome to MySircles. We're going to go through some steps to help you set up your profile and then link to your child's school or nursery. Okay, so there'll be a landing page which says, okay, this is what we're going to do. Then what happens is it says, okay, right, let's create your profile. We're talking to the parent now. Let's create your profile. What's your name? What's your first name? What's your surname? What's your email address? Click next. Okay, so in that instance, all we're doing is collecting just the parent's details. And also it might come up with can we access your contacts or something like that, so that I can send this to you in a document, so don't worry about making notes. I just need you to understand what we're trying to do with this first version. Then it says, okay, let's now create your child's profile. What's your child's first name? I'll put in Maya. Which school does Maya go to? And then it comes up with a list that you can choose from. Now, in the UK, there's 30,000 schools. Uh-huh. So we might need to say, okay, before we say what's the name of the school, or we could put in, as they start typing the name of the school, it starts to shortlist and just shows them. So if I start to type in Saint Faith's, it would start to shortlist all the saints, and then a bit like what you've done with all the search capability at the moment, it's shortlisting real time. The other option we've got is, because it's such a big list, is we could, before we say name of school, we could say which city, so then it's shortlisted Cambridge, and then I'll start typing St. Faith's. So we can look at that, but basically the parent goes through, picks the school, then the app would say to me, which year is Maya in? I pick year 6. Actually, more importantly, it says which year is Maya in as of September 2017, because we need to, obviously it changes. So, okay, and then I pick the year. Then it says which class is she in. And with all of these, what I want to do is I want to show what's already there, And if the year group or the class hasn't been created, I want to give the parent the ability to create that. So the parent can either join something or they can create something. If it's there, they can join it. If not, they can create it. So then now what I've done is I've created my profile by just having my, and also I can have that option to add my photograph, but I've created my profile by having my contact details and my email address. I've now gone and created a profile for my daughter by picking her first name, picking the school she's at, picking the year she's in, and picking the class she's in. Then I want to say, add another child. So then I can go through and do the same thing for my other daughter. She's in a different school. So obviously with every child, you need to say, is your second child in the same school? Yes, no, okay, go through that same process again. Now what I've done is I've created my profile and a profile for each of my children. And it's really important that they are held as their own entities, because if a parent is divorced, then the parent needs to also have access to that child, but that parent is not linked to my profile. Do you see what I mean? So everything needs to be created as a separate entity.
Okay.
So my profile is one thing, child 1 is a second entity, child 3 is a third entity, and then if there are divorced parents, then that parent can still be linked to child 1, for example.
Okay.
So that's the profiles, if you like. So that's all the people side of it done. And then what happens is I've now joined the class that Maya's in, right? So I've said, yes, Maya's in that class, or I've created it or I've joined it. But I'm sitting in that class unverified. So unverified means that I'm saying I'm a parent, but I need another parent to join that class and say, yes, I know Babita. Once they've said they know me and they've verified me, then in my profile on my account, say for example, Maya's friend is called Elizabeth, her mom is called Helen. So Helen goes through exactly the same process, downloads the app, goes through all of that, joins the class. She can see that I've already created the class, so she joins the class. She then sees the people that are in there that have not yet been verified. She then sees Babita's in there. She says, oh, I know Babita, so I'm going to verify her. In my profile, it needs to say that Helen is a person that's verified me. Once she verifies me, I can then start to use the app properly. But until that point, I'm sitting in a holding bay, and I then see that Helen's verified me. I can then say, oh, I know Helen, so I'm going to verify Helen. And in her profile, it will say Babita verified Helen. The reason that is a really, really important step when we go to the full version is because it stops people from just joining the class, right? So it needs another parent to say they know that parent from a safety and a security point of view. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. So the most important thing that I've heard is they should have, or they should be on a separate entity. Each
Yes.
children or each year, if I click on that, should be on a separate page or separate profile, correct?
So the child is almost like a mini profile in
Yeah.
itself, but it's linked to mine. Okay, so the important thing is that the child is not a subset of my profile, it's a link to
It's
my
a link, yeah.
profile.
Okay. But the name of the child, for example, will appear there, correct?
Yes.
But when I
Yes.
click on it, it will lead to a different mini profile, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're saying is that if I click on Maya, what do I see?
If I click on your profile,
Yeah.
I'd see below your children. And if I click on
Yes.
one of the children, I will see a mini
Yeah.
profile. It will lead to a different page, and I
Mm-hmm.
will be able to see the mini profile. But there's a button that that can go back. A button
Yeah.
to
Yeah. So
click on to go back.
when I send you the screenshots,
Uh-huh.
you'll see that that's already there.
Yep.
So it's got a picture. It says Maya. It says the year, school she's in and what year she's in. And then underneath it says associated parents or guardians. And then it's got my name and my husband's name. So when I send you the screenshot of that, you'll see what that looks like.
Yep. Okay. Or Babita, maybe once you send a screenshot, maybe you can put that on your laptop or
Put it on the
on
what, sorry?
or on a Word file, or where would you send a
Yes.
screenshot? Yeah, on a maybe on
I,
a Word file. You can place that on a Word file, and then uh, if you can record a video that explains the things that you would like, so that
yeah.
it would also refresh, then I can do that. I can make a plan out of it so that I can easily follow it.
I tell you what's quite good. Have you heard of POP? POP. It's a Marvel app.
Searching right now. But I saw the
Yes,
band app.
absolutely.
I saw the band app that you sent.
Yes. So leave that for a second. But if you have a look at, there's an app called POP, and what it allows you to do is you can take screenshots of different apps, and then I can create a project in there. So I can take all the screenshots, and then I can link. When you actually use it, it works like an app. So if you click on the different things, you can see where that links to in the actual app, just from screenshots.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
just. It's
It's
a really
like a prototype version where you
yeah
screenshot everything. Mhm.
yeah. I can't remember. Let me just see if I can. Hill, have you seen it? Have you ever used it?
I used it before, but no. But I gave you the link there, so you can see it.
Have you put it in the chat?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. So if you download that, I'll create a project and I'll screenshot everything, and then you can just click. You can just click on it, and it'll take you to the next screen like it is in the current app. But then the advantage of doing it this way is that where I'm saying it would be good to change, this to look like this, and for the functionality to change, I can just include a screenshot from a different app and include it in there, so you can see what I'm talking about, and it might make it easier.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I'm checking on
So
the.
can you get Marvel app on Android? Because you're on Android, right, Mark?
Yep. Correct. I can get that.
So you can.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's use that then. So rather than just send you a document, I'll create a project in there, and then you can see it in there.
Okay. Pop.
So I just want to finish on the big picture stuff. So we've gone through, we've created my profile, we've created my daughter's profile, and the advantage of doing, the reason in the end, I guess what I'm trying to explain to you is that I want you to understand what the big picture is, because when you're designing what you're doing, eventually I want to take what you've done and add that front piece to it, because none of that is in there at the moment. So then what happens is that once the parent's gone through and created their profile, their children's profile, then they end up on the home screen. Now, this is where we are at the moment with the current version. So at the moment, what we're doing is we are allowing the school or the admin console, whoever has access to the admin console, to be able to go in and manage the parents and the children and the classes that they belong to. So I would love to get to a stage where we have that front piece. I just don't know how complicated it is to code all of that. So what I'm looking for is some advice from you on how long that piece of it will take. And when I create the version in Marvel app, I'll add first of all, I'll create 2 projects. I'll create the current app exactly like it is at the moment, and then I'll create another version which has that whole onboarding process in there as well. And then you can, maybe then afterwards, you can look at it and tell me how long you think it would take to create that.
Okay. Sure, Babita. I'm just gonna wait first for. I'm just gonna wait first for the images that you will send. Then I can estimate the time, because right
Okay.
now, I think if that's gonna be for just the navigation of it, since since we already have the functions back end, um, I think just give us 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because I'm already doing the version 2, most of the functions of the version 2. Um, we're already
So which functions are you doing for version 2 at the moment?
for the version 2. Hold on. I think I sent it to you. Wait up. Uh, the listing of child in profile, fixed relationship, and also the push notification whenever there's a message. I think that's for version 2.
So can I ask you a question about the notifications
Sure.
piece? So at the moment, for this, let's talk about the navigation then, because I sent to you the band pictures. So it's a question again. So we've obviously got the back navigation sitting in the top left-hand corner, which is fine. When people click into certain things and they can go back, that's fine. The question is that at the moment we've got chats, contacts, MySircles, My Pins, and notifications. Does it make sense to have notifications as a separate tab when the only notifications that will be happening is when a new parent joins a MySircle, that would be a notification to me, the new parent's joined, or if there's somebody posted something into the MySircle, that's a notification, and then if there's a new chat in my chat section, then that's a notification. Does it make sense to have that in the stream? So say, for example, a new parent joins a MySircle, so somebody new joins Maya's class. At the moment, I've got that sitting separately in the notification section, but does it make more sense that when you click on MySircles, that it's just in that section there rather than in a separate notification section? So it's much more similar to Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's fine. For example, you're on its screen of, you are on the profile, you are on the Babita profile. Okay, so what you're saying is that you would just like to be notified on that screen at the upper part. So, for example, someone has joined, and it will notify you that it will say someone has recently joined, and then the second one, let's say, for example, someone added you as for example, as a friend, or said someone added you in a class, so it will notify you. So that's what you're talking about, right?
So, but where should that be a separate notifications tab, or should it actually be in the relevant page? So if somebody's added me to a class, is it better to have that information in the MySircles page of the app rather than in a separate notifications page? So I'll tell you what I'm thinking is I'm wondering whether to get rid of notifications and change that to more, like you see in the Band app. And I'll tell you why I'm thinking about doing that. I need to find a way for the app to make revenue. So I'm thinking, because this is all free at the moment for parents, anyone can join it, download it, and all of that, and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to do is find a way to make some revenue from the business to keep funding the development. And I'm thinking that if I can have a section that says more, in there I can sell a sponsorship program to take, for example, there's a company in the UK called Waterstones. They sell books. So in the more section, I can say to them that I can have a promotions link in more, and then if a parent goes into more, they can click on the Waterstones book promotion, they get 10% off or whatever. And when that goes to the supplier's website, then there's a standard fixed rate, like, you know, you can get 4% of whatever the parent spends on the website or something. But more importantly, I can sell that concept to Waterstones and say, look, I want to charge you a fixed fee to be listed in the app. And that's a really easy and quick, relatively quick, if I can speak to the right people, but it's an easier way to actually make revenue from a supplier, because I'm giving them space in the app in the section that says more when the parent clicks on that. In the long term, and I don't know, this is later down the line, but again, I'm just trying to give you an overview of what the vision is. If my daughter is interested in, if I've created, okay, in MySircles, if there's a gymnastics club and my daughter is part of the gymnastics team, then in the longer term, I would love that the app is able to recognize that I'm interested in gymnastics. And therefore, when I click on more and I look at promotions, it shows me, or it features any companies that are to do with gymnastics. But that's in the long term. For now, all I'm looking to do is position suppliers that sell books, stationery, school uniform, holiday clubs, you know, anything like that, where I can actually sell the idea to the company and they are prepared to pay a sponsorship fee. The other thing that could sit in more is, you know, you, Mark, had that idea of, you know, put stickers on there and just charge people for stickers. That could also sit in more. So anything that's administration, or even it could have the notifications tab in more if you wanted it to. Or, you know, that second picture I sent to you of each of those where it had those 9 boxes? Because I sent you the band picture which showed creating a group, and then there was a second screen I think I sent to you. Did you see the second screen?
The second screen that has this enter group name?
Yeah, so I think it said select the type
Select the type
you want to start your group, and you know how it had those different icons.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking is that when you click more, it becomes it becomes an opportunity for us to put extra things in there, like the promotions piece, or, you know, if there's other things that we want to include, like the stickers, for example, or, you know, if there's anything that we're taking out of the navigation. In my head, what I'm thinking is it makes sense that the navigation should be really, really, really simple. So the top left should be a search and the top right should just be a plus. So if for example, you're in chats, you know, the top left could, or you've already got search chats, so that's fine, but the top right could potentially just be a plus sign where you just create a new chat, you know. Yep. So it becomes the place where you create something, whether that's a plus sign or whether that's a box with the pencil or whatever it is. And then if you go into contacts, the same thing. So you've got search contacts already, but maybe on the right-hand side is it just becomes a plus. So I can just invite a contact into my contacts. And then once they get a notification that I've invited them, then they go through the process and then they have to be added to the right MySircles. But it's up to them to go through and do that piece of it. At the moment, we've got the PTA, which is why the admin console is important, because until we develop that front piece, I mean, you might look at it and you might say, look, we can do it in 2 weeks. You know, once I've created those screens, you can look at it and tell me. But at the moment, I'm relying on the Parent-Teacher Association at the school to go in and actually add the parents into the right MySircles. The MySircles at the moment is really the class. So the PTA at my daughter's school would go in, they would add me into my daughter's class. So I made sure that I'm in the right class. But then once I'm in that My Circle, I can then go through and I can join any of the activity groups that my child belongs to. So that's what we're doing with this version that you're working on at the moment, is that's what we're doing, is we're controlling that front end by giving the PTA the access to be able to manage that whole onboarding process on behalf of the parent.
Okay, that's definitely something that we can do. Um, so I guess the more option when you click on that, and then there's a you'd see there the notifications and some stuff that you would like to add. That's possible, but I think we need to do the mock up first. I'll ask.
Hmm.
I'll ask. What's the name of the guy again? Nathan.
Nathan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nathan. So that it will be easier for me to just follow where to place them. But that's easy. Since we already have the
Okay.
notifications, I can just place the notifications on the more
Yeah.
page. And then if you would like to add a promotion, for example, a coupon or apps like this, they give sometimes, they put in website links, so
Yeah.
advertisement, so we can place there. We can place them
Yeah.
there.
Okay. And the other thing as well is, with the My Pins section, so that's going to look like I want that to look like a pin board. Do you know what I mean by pin board?
Uh, where you put the notes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So a parent can just, so if you go into My Circles or if you go into My Chats, then any piece of that the parent wants to pin, they just swipe it and they can say pin, and then it ends up in My Pins.
Pin. Oh, it's like an Outlook, correct? It's like an Outlook when you flag a message, then
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's exactly the same as flagging. So when you flag something, then I want it to go into the My Pins. But with My Pins, I want that to be a paid feature. So I don't want that to be part of the free app. I want parents to pay for that.
okay, that's possible.
So I can send you some examples of what, again, what I'm thinking of, what that should look like. But that would be an in-app purchase where the parent can go through and say, yeah, I want that capability, and then they would pay for it.
Okay. Yep, that's possible.
So,
But
okay. So in terms of the current version, then the admin console, have you done any further work on the admin console piece where it's just easier to link everything together or not?
admin console. Um, wait up. There's mm, wait up. Yesterday, because yesterday I was also checking on the Meteor side. There's no additional on the linking since what I did is just fix user image in chat and added user helper and fix some bugs. The fixing of bugs is like every day since whenever we add some functionalities back end and front end, it's the codes are moving, so we are expecting bugs. So sometimes it's taking so much time, and
Mm.
but in linking with those things that you mentioned, I don't think that we're gonna have problems on those.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
the thing here, Babita, is that it's not really um, hard, but it's the process is taking it's long. It's longer. The coding is, you know, must be really meticulous because one mistake on the code, it will definitely, it will definitely destroy the entire app. So it should
yeah,
be meticulous, since what we're doing
yeah.
is iOS, Android, and the web, which is being done by Hilarion. Yesterday he was done with a group list page and notification list page.